I'm Terry Sacka, and this is Rigged Against You. Well, the time has come. It has arrived. And so I want to show you the data here. This is actually real straight up stuff. This is what happened in the fall of 2019. Conveniently, right before COVID showed up. And then we ended up printing $14 trillion through COVID, which gave us liquidity to keep things going. But we have finally hit the point where the banking system has dried back up, liquidity is gone. So you have to see this. This is a great program for those that are still in the stock market. I think you're going to be quite surprised, but let the data speak for itself, because I'm surprised that we've gotten to this point. I kind of planned for this. I knew eventually it would get here. But we are doing the same thing in the banking system that we did in the fall of 2019. And many of you should remember what happened after that. But a lot of people don't know what happened in the repo market. So I want to get into that. But before I do, please consider subscribing. Hit the subscribe button. So when I do drop a podcast, you'll be notified, because the data is important for you and your future. Let the truth set you free. So here's what's going on the banking system side. Warning has flashed. Banks had borrowed $50 billion in emergency liquidity from the Fed repo market today. $20 billion in the morning and $30 billion more in the afternoon. The crisis is incoming. Now, that was on Friday. Now, when I say the repo market, the bottom line is it's where the banks go overnight. So every bank has to settle their books every night. And so if they don't have the money, they go into the repo market, they borrow from other banks at a low interest rate overnight to settle their books. So anytime you hear repo market, that means banks are short of liquidity and cash, and they go and borrow from another bank overnight. Well, what's happening? The banks don't want to lend to other banks anymore. And that's the crisis. And when you go into the repo and there's nothing there, that's what happened in the fall of 2019. So it goes deeper into this. Let me show you this part here. Bank reserves have dropped to the lowest not seen in decades. Reserve repo would just know that it's banks borrow money from other banks. The excess liquidity has been completely drained from $2.6 trillion down to $5 billion. The Fed repo loans to banks today exceeded $10 billion and $40 billion in the past 2 weeks. Now, I'm going to show this chart a little closer here so you can see what I mean. This is what's available in the Treasury. You can notice there, it's on the right side. It's at the bottom. This is a warning sign that the banks are in a lot of trouble. The money's gone. The reserves are gone. Liquidity is not there. And when the banks go to borrow from other banks and there's no money, what do you think we're doing? Well, the Fed will step in, start printing money out of thin air and provide liquidity. Right now, today, I haven't heard any update on the repo, but all I know is they're scrambling behind the scenes because this is huge. What is keeping the market going? I will show you at the end of this podcast, and you're going to be quite surprised. But there's something else that happened, which is pretty foretelling. I've been talking about this a lot, but this is a really big deal, and that is this. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway actually added cash. I was talking about having $350 billion in cash. They've added another $34 billion in cash on the sidelines. That means Berkshire is adding more to the cash position. We haven't seen this level of cash on the side on Berkshire Hathaway since 2008. And I think many of you should remember what that means. Here's Berkshire's positioning. Berkshire's net purchases versus sales. Look at where they've been going all through the year. The deep red on the right. That is getting out of Dodge. That's getting out of the banking system. If Berkshire Hathaway, which I'm not a total fan of, but you have to know, he may be closer to reaching his destiny, but if anything, they're on the inside. If Berkshire Hathaway is sitting on the side and adding tens of billions of dollars just in the last couple weeks, what are we, the retail people, still doing in the stock market? This is going to be huge. We don't know how much of a correction it can be. All I know is it has arrived. The banks are in trouble. We haven't even gotten into commercial real estate loan refinancing, the 10 trillion in U.S. debt that needs refinancing. And because Powell over at the Federal Reserve is not lowering rates fast enough, to refinance these commercial loans and business loans and U.S. treasuries at these high rates will absolutely implode the system. They did all of this financing back when rates were down to 1-2%. And now we're up near 6%. It's not going to work. Now, what is keeping the stock market alive? This is it. And I mean straight up about this. This is why the stock market seems to be doing okay right here. Let me make this a bigger one. Oracle stock jumped 25% after being promised $60 billion a year from OpenAI, an amount of money OpenAI hasn't even earned yet to provide cloud computing facilities that Oracle hasn't built yet, and which will require 4.5 gigawatt of power. Look at on the right, debt to equity ratio of direct AI investments. Now, why this is a big deal? What's happening in the AI space is they're loaning money to each other, propping up each other's stock on revenue that has never been earned and facilities that have not been built. So it's a shell game between the AI, the robotic AI world right now, and the amount of liquidity moving around in a circle is keeping the stock market afloat. This is huge as far as truth because there's nothing there. They haven't produced anything. You want to put a short on puts in the market? I'd be putting puts on Palantir and NVIDIA because Palantir especially, OpenAI may be definitely something in the future. But for right now, this market is afloat by merely these companies giving guarantees and loans to each other and circulating the money around, and nothing has happened. And nothing has been produced. Look at this. This is incredible to me. This is secured debt issuance linked to data centers. Soars in the United States. Now, basically, somebody's guaranteeing this debt. Look at it. Look at 2022. Data center is in the blue. 3, 4. Look at 5. Unbelievable amount of debt going into the data centers. They are building the infrastructure. Many won't like this, but they are building the infrastructure for the mark of the beast, for digital control, digital ID, controlling your finances, controlling your banks. As they say, well, we can control crime. We'll be able to see things in the city. We'll be able to do this for medical. And they're going on and on about these positive benefits. What they're not telling you is they're going to enslave us. Just look at Britain. They've passed the law about digital ID, and they're implementing CBDC come January. And once they do digital ID and CBDC, which is basically government-controlled money, who do you think controls your spending? At that point, they will know everything you buy, where, and when, and they absolutely 100% will dictate to you what you can and cannot do with your money. All I know is when the banks need money, as we see right now in the repo market overnight, and the other banks are now refusing to lend to the other banks, that is exactly how the fall of 2019 started. So how is this going to get bailed out? The only reason for those of you who are still in the stock market, I just showed you why the stock market is still up. It is phony money, chasing a circle, loaning to each other for future revenue that has never been produced for facilities that don't exist. And the banks are in trouble. And this is just the beginning. All I know, Warren Buffett just increased his cash holdings by almost $40 billion to near $400 billion. What makes you think your financial advisor and you are smarter than he is? And I'm not insulting. I'm just merely telling you this is a FOMO moment of fear of missing out on supposedly all-time highs. But when I worked at AG Edwards as a financial advisor, remember I have 5 financial licenses I operated with. They trained us and taught us that at the end of a cycle, the institutions will sell into you. You will get caught in the hype. They will be selling to you, and you, we the people, will be holding the bag. All I know is it has arrived. And don't think for a minute we're at the top for gold and silver. This is just the beginning. This sell-off was very appropriate. It is a tremendous buying opportunity. Stay away from the big companies as they will rip you off like you can't believe. Give Cornerstone Asset Metals a call. Get positioned. We are getting ready for the next phase, leg up. And if Jamie Dimon, head of JP Morgan Bank, came out and said he won't be surprised to see gold between 5,000 and 10,000, you can bet your shirt it's happening. So until next time, God bless you.
With all of the recent changes in the political and financial markets, there has never been a better time than right now to invest in silver and gold. When governments simply print billions of dollars in paper money in hopes of solving financial shortfalls, you know that it is time to buy and hold assets of true and lasting value. Free information is available to you right now by calling 888-747-3309. Whether you are a new investor or you're interested in preserving the value of your retirement accounts, we make it easy for you to make smart decisions for your financial future. The specialists at Cornerstone are here to serve you, work to satisfy your retirement goals, and communicate with respect. Call us right now at 888-747-3309. That's 888-747-3309. Or visit us online at cornerstoneassetmetals.com. That's cornerstoneassetmetals.com.